I don't even know if I'm saying this group right. Is Raheem on to something here? Should the people of Dallas and specifically Texas be concerned about this stuff?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Tablighi Jamaat is a very dangerous organization. It's an international organization that is dedicated to imposing Islamic law wherever and whenever it can. I think it's interesting to note that it's set up in Garland, Texas, a suburb of Dallas, because that's where ISIS attacked the Muhammad art exhibit and cartoon contest that Pamela Geller and I were putting on in 2015. That was the first ISIS attack on American soil, with the FBI egging on the ISIS jihadis. And now the Tablighi Jamaat group has picked Garland, of all places, to set up its headquarters. This is a group that is connected to multiple jihadis. It has no problem with jihad violence. It does not fit the moderate fantasies of the American government or law enforcement in any way. It's going to be turning out people who hate America and want to transform it into a Sharia state.
Robert, what about these other communities? I saw one in McKinney, Texas. They've got these beautiful promo videos and 3D graphics. There's one in Irving, Texas, which has a large Muslim population as well, with gates around them. All the streets are named after Muslim names. Do we need to be concerned about these communities as well?
Very much so, Grant. The problem is anybody who is immediately accused of being Islamophobic and racist, and that just drowns out any honest discussion of these communities. But the fact is, we have seen what's been happening in Europe for 2 decades now, really, and what's been happening for longer than that in places like India, where you have large numbers of Muslims and large numbers of non-Muslims. The Muslim community grows and initiates conflict with the non-Muslim community in order to further grow at the expense of the non-Muslim community in a conflict. You want to know what the United States, what Texas is going to look like in 20 or 30 years if these communities continue to pop up unchallenged and impose Sharia. Look at India, where there are riots when Hindus have processions and walk through areas that Muslims consider are their own. They aren't doing anything, and the Muslims start throwing rocks at them and inciting riots. And this is the kind of thing we're asking for in America's future, Grant, because there has never been a place in the history of the world, and I am not exaggerating, that there have been large numbers of Muslims and large numbers of non-Muslims living together, and there was peace and harmony between the two. The Muslims always created conflict. Why do we think it's going to be different here?
Yeah. I'll say this. This is the same line that I got in trouble. It may have been you, my guest, 7 years ago with the Washington Post when I was at the NRA. But I do believe this. I want to make it clear. I don't believe that all Muslims are terrorists. But I can make this very clear. All radical jihadists happen to be Muslim. So that made me a racist for saying that with the Washington Post. But I do believe it. I don't want to paint a broad picture against everyone. But I don't think when you have a community, they don't want to assimilate. And this goes for Hispanics and Asians. If you want to come in and build a community and not assimilate with America, I think that's a real problem, not to mention the idea of young people and radicalizing them.
Absolutely, Grant. And yeah, it's okay. It's an important point because the left will use it against you and me. And so I'm not saying, and you're not saying, that every last person in these communities is going to hate the United States and try to cause conflict. What I am saying is that the Islamic faith is inherently against the idea of assimilation. And it says that the non-believers are the most vile of created beings. That's in the Quran, chapter 98, verse 6. They're like animals, chapter 8, verse 55. And the Muslims are the best of people on earth. That's chapter 3, verse 110. So you're going to get these communities. Some of the people, not all of them, but some of the people are going to be believing those things as if they're the word of Allah, as is taught in standard Islam, and they're going to act upon them and show contempt for the larger community, contempt for non-Muslim laws, and the determination to impose Islamic law. This has happened everywhere around the world where there have been similar communities.